Story number 1. The Whispering Confessional. This story comes from a small town nestled deep in the heart of the countryside, where the church has stood for centuries, its weathered walls bearing witness to countless prayers and confessions. I remember it well, for I was once a young priest in that very parish. One fateful night, as the clock struck midnight, I found myself alone in the dimly lit sanctuary, the only sound the soft rustling of the wind outside. It was then that I heard it, a whisper, barely audible at first, emanating from the confessional booth. Approaching cautiously, I pulled open the door, expecting to find nothing but darkness. Instead, I was met with a voice that seemed to echo from the very depths of the church itself. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," the voice murmured, sending a shiver down my spine. What followed was a confession so chilling, so dark and twisted, that it haunts me to this day. I fled from the confessional, but the whisper followed me, echoing in my mind like a curse. In the weeks that followed, I tried to convince myself that it had all been a figment of my imagination, a trick of the mind brought on by exhaustion and fear. But deep down, I knew the truth. There are things in this world that defy explanation, things that lurk in the shadows, waiting to be revealed. Story 2. The Haunted Choir. In the quiet town where I grew up, there stood an old church with a choir renowned for its beautiful hymns. But as the sun dipped below the horizon each Sunday evening, a sense of unease settled over the singers. It started with a whisper, a faint, ethereal sound that seemed to emanate from the very stones of the church itself. At first, we dismissed it as nothing more than the wind rustling through the rafters. But as the whisper grew louder, morphing into an eerie chant that sent shivers down our spines, we knew we were in the presence of something otherworldly. Terrified, we fled from the church, but the haunting melody followed us, a relentless pursuit that seemed to echo in the very air around us. And as we returned to the church each Sunday, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes were lurking in the shadows, waiting to claim us for their own. To this day, I can still hear the echoes of that haunting chant, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the veil of our reality. Story number 3. The Sinister Sacrament. In the forgotten corners of the world, there are places where darkness reigns supreme, where ancient evils lie dormant, waiting to be awakened. Such was the case with the abandoned church on the outskirts of town, a place shrouded in mystery and whispered tales of unspeakable horrors. One moonlit night, a group of brave souls ventured inside, drawn by a morbid curiosity to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its crumbling walls. But as they explored the empty corridors and shadowy alcoves, they felt the weight of centuries bearing down upon them, as if the very air itself was thick with the presence of something sinister. As midnight approached, they stumbled upon the church's altar, a desecrated slab of stone covered in dust and cobwebs. And there, in the flickering light of their torches, they made a gruesome discovery, a feast of flesh and bone, arranged in a macabre display that spoke of unspeakable atrocities. With a cry of horror, they turned to flee, but the doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside with whatever malevolent force lurked within. And as they huddled together in fear, they knew that they were not alone, that something ancient and evil was watching them from the shadows, waiting to claim their souls for eternity.